What's up? It's Joe ready for Matey's Rides. I'm back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? I have that one big bad mamma jamma cowboy style SUV. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2025 redesigned all new Ford Expedition. Of course, if we're talking about cowboys, we're talking about the King Ranch. But before we get into this SUV that's as big as the state of Texas, let's talk about what's going on here. So the Expedition gets a new look, new technology, and a new driving experience. Now, it makes sense that this is happening because pretty much all of that full-size body on frame SUV competition is getting a redesign or a refresh for model year 2025. Now, when it comes to the Expedition, this is Ford's largest SUV. There is no Excursion and there's not one coming. So don't believe what you're reading on the interwebs. Now, when it comes to the Expedition, you have your different trims. Active is going to be your entry way into the Expedition family. That replaces the XLT. This, being the King Ranch, is the top trim. But what I want to find out is, has Ford made the right changes, and is this King Ranch the ultimate full size to go with? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Right off the bat, you'll notice that very traditional color combination of the bright white with the bronze wheels and accents. Now at the front of the business, all new face to the Expedition. You got new style LED headlights, LED turn signals, and your signature LED daytime running lamp that actually runs the whole width of the front end of the vehicle. Also, what you're gonna find on the King Ranch is we have some bright, shiny aluminum style trim with some ridges in it, like a big old Ruffles potato chip. And then dropping it on down to ground level, we do have functional corner air curtains, but surprisingly, no fog lamps. That to me is a zonk. On an SUV, you gotta have fog lamps, especially a King Ranch. Now, the rest of it, all body color. And then, like I said, you have this sinister bronze color. Kind of interesting the way they're calling it sinister bronze. They couldn't come up with like buffalo bronze or buffalo nickel bronze or something like that. Sinister bronze doesn't really match the face of this King Ranch. But let me know what you think so far about passenger corner if you're liking this King Ranch Expedition. Now, as we walk our way, mosey our way across the center, you have your gloss black with the bronze accents, the blue oval, that Ford badge. Do love that you get a forward-facing camera, so you're not gonna drive over any of the little cattle that is running around. That trim really gives it a nice style, classy, from one side to the other. And then working our way down, we got tons of functionality. You got your mail slot in the center, and then even on the lower portion, because we still have that twin turbocharged EcoBoost engine, we have functionality on the lower bumper area. Flat black is smart, and I'm digging the bronze. Gives it a nice pop of some different color rather than it just being plain black. But let me know what you think about the face of the King Ranch. Now, as we rise up, you have those bright silver Expedition letters. I wish that they would sink these into the hood to make it more flush. That's my one zonk when it comes to putting the name across the front of the hood. Love this indentation. It's like the Rio Grande right in the center, and then you have that aircraft carrier size hood. Really nice and bold, nothing rounded, which I think gives it a great look. Now, as we come around the bend, you are gonna get specific wheels and tires. On this King Ranch, these are the wheels. You got your sinister bronze, there's the King Ranch badge in the center, with your machined aluminum exterior portion. It's a 22-inch wheel, 275 on the width, 50 series sidewall. Of course, the suspension has been fine-tuned for 2025 to give you a better ride, and there's also better towing capability. So when you're towing your horse to the big show, you'll be able to bring 2 horses now rather than just 1. No flat black around the fender openings. I love the platinum white. And then coming down the side, before we do, even the way that they styled the headlight housing around the corner here looks great. Working our way down the side, you do have your gloss black on your mirror caps, LED turn signals, 360-degree cameras. You gotta have the badge, that King Ranch badge, all the way back from 1853. From the side of this vehicle, you can see that this is not a Max. The Max gives you even longer length to the Expedition. What I love on the King Ranch is you are gonna get those electric dropping running boards, color matched on the door handles, and only the trim along the bottom. That to me is smart, because if they put the trim up top as well, that would be too much. You got your raised roof rails, nice aluminum style. And then working our way towards the rear, they did a great job on the quarter glass. It almost looks like a butter knife, the way that this trim flares out at the end here. And then coming around the back, this has been a real big talking point of the Expedition. And let me show you where. Right here in the center, a large amount of gloss black. Now, it looks good bookend with these LED taillights, all new LED lighting. And then up top, you do have that good sized roof spoiler, and your wiper is tucked underneath. But this section, let me know in the comments, this has been the area where a lot of people are just like scratching their head like, what in the heck? What in God's tarnation is going on with this Expedition? Now, of course, you got to let everybody know you got that belt buckle. I almost want to take this off and wear it as a belt buckle, even though I'm not wearing a belt. Belt buckle size badging, and then working our way down the ground level, you got more of that bronze finish, nice platinum white, and then of course this cover is going to come off because, like I said, you could tow more with the new Expedition than ever before. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's gonna get it done. All right, guys, we got the hood popped on this King Ranch. Underneath the hood, no engine cover to kind of hide all the hoses, the tubes, and everything else of the EcoBoost. But what do we have? It's that 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, 440 horsepower, 510 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in this thing in 5 seconds flat. Top speed is governed to 124 miles an hour. MPG 16 in the city, 24 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs 5,879 pounds. Now here's the great news. The great news is you can now tow up to 9,600 pounds with your Expedition King Ranch. Well, really any of the Expeditions. Greater towing capacity when it's equipped with the towing requirements to get to that 9,600 pounds, but you can now tow up to 9,600 pounds. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. All right, come on into this 2025 Expedition King Ranch. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I got a big farm. I got lots of kids. They got lots of junk. I need to haul it around everywhere. How much is this King Ranch? MSRP, the way that this one is optioned, is right around $87,590. But let's see exactly what you're getting, because it's quite a bit of buffalo nickels, that's for sure. But let's see what you're getting when you go cowboy style to the door panels. Love the material. It's this Mesa Del Rio leather. That contrast stitching, I actually don't mind the dark brown with the lighter brown. It really works well. You have that real open pore wood finish. Love the silver style trim. There's ambient lighting in there. And then we also have the B&O premium sound system. And then a door pocket that's large enough for a rattlesnake burrito, a large buffalo burger, and 2 bottles of freshly squeezed cow milk. Now going from the door panel to the dash, love that leather. You have your B&O sound system sound bar that goes all the way across the front. more of that great stitching, the wood finish, and even the way they did the trim here. And you do have ambient lighting. I don't know if Steven could pick it up, but it's underneath this trim here. Now, even on the sides, the leather, and then slide your little doggies in here because you have that 13.1 inch infotainment system. This is going to be your main controller. The other thing that's new for 2025 is we have our digital screen up top. Now you could touch this, it doesn't do anything. All the stuff that you want to change up there is through here. Now let me show you, let's focus just on the infotainment system. So you're going to have all those familiar apps, even games. Then we go into all the different things for your seating. All the controls are real easy to get to. And then when it comes to that 25-inch digital display, here's where I could change information. So let's say I want off-road status. I just touch it here and it shows it right there. Plus, you also have blind spot cameras. Perfect in this big beast. And then this is all the different information. I could bring up gauges. Look at how I got gauges there. So very simple to use. Think of this as a head-up display because that's how far forward it is. It's not blocking the view out the windshield. Head-up display. This is your infotainment system. Let me throw it into reverse. What I do like is I like the way the backup camera shows up here. Clear resolution. You got your trajectory lines, which is wonderful. The bad news is everything is controlled in the infotainment system. So you have your AC controls, you got to touch the screen. You want ventilated seats, you got to touch the screen. Ventilated seats, heated seats, everything is in the screen, including your dual climate. So let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. Down below, you do have an actual volume knob. This is going to control your 10-speed automatic transmission. Then I love the way they have this nice flat black. Open that up, wireless charging. You got your Pro Trailer Assist. That's where you can put the boat in the water and look like a pro doing it. USB-C, USB-A, your 2 cup holders. I wish that they would give you a King Ranch key fob. It's just a regular cord Ford key fob with your silver buttons on the back. Here's something new. Check this out. Look at that. Power sliding center console. So this will be a perfect area to put a pair of boots, your spurs, maybe your lassoing rope, whatever you have, cowboy style, you could put in there. Or you don't have to put anything. It's up to you. More of that Mesa Del Rio leather, the King Ranch badge. Open up. You got plenty of room in there. 2 USB-Cs, a 12-volt. You could easily put, I would say, a small 10-gallon cowboy hat. Maybe one of those foam ones. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted one. My mom would never get me one. There were these foam cowboy hats. You look like an idiot, but it was fun. Back in the 80s, it was just about being fun. Nobody cared if they looked like an idiot. Well, I guess today nobody cares that they look like an idiot, but there's a lot of people that are making money off of being an idiot today compared to the 1980s. So that's the sad part. Seats, the leather, the stitching. Love the two-tone. Of course, you have full electric assist for the passenger, full electric assist for the driver, and don't you worry, you can see the birdies up in the sky because you have that massive panoramic sunroof with the power shade. But why don't you come over here, giddy up and get your butt over here. I want to show you behind the interesting shaped wheel in this Expedition. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. Dust your boots off before you come in. You got that nice aluminum sill plate with the King Ranch badge. The pedals are power moving, so you can slide them closer to you or further away. You do have your drive modes and your 4x4 system all nicely nestled in that lower corner. Here's the seat controls, easy to get to. Love the piping, the material, very comfortable, very supportive. Plenty of room in here. Please, I recommend you take your cowboy hat off before you get in, because you're gonna look like a fool when it gets all knocked off your head or squinched down. Steering wheel, this is something very new. So that very unique shape. There is some gloss black, very minimalistic. This does come standard with your Blue Cruise, autonomous hands-free driving. And then to control anything on the screen, you just kind of touch these little rectangle areas. I would call them a square, but they're not exactly the same size corner to corner. So these rectangle areas to make any adjustments. And then you have your 25 inches of display up there. There's those blind spot cameras I was telling you about. Love that technology. And then you also do have your different drive modes. Tow haul, eco, sport, slippery when wet, Bon Jovi, baby. I'm a cowboy, on a steel horse I ride. You get it. And then we'll put it in sport mode. So nice to have that layout with that information. But why don't we go ahead? It's not just about the people up front. Let's get in that mid row and third row and see if all your ranch hands are going to be happy in this King Ranch. All right, guys, mid row and third row in this King Ranch. And just like up front, that Mesa Del Rio leather, it's on needlepoint. It really fits the interior of this vehicle. You want to see an armrest? That's a captain's chair. That's a proper captain's chair armrest. I'm almost getting some PTSD because back when I was in elementary school, it was still legal to paddle kids in school. This almost reminds me, without the leather, of course. The one that I got paddled with was just pure wood. But the size and the shape of this sort of reminds me of the paddle. It's kind of interesting. Flip that up out of the way. On the back, you got USB-Cs. It's all about BYOD. Bring your own device. Ford didn't want to put a bunch of screens in here because a lot of times people have their own screens with them. So you give them your connectivity. You got plenty of pockets here. I mean, you could put some freaking ostrich buffalo jerky in here and have that to gnaw on while you're working, going about your day. You do have the nice Expedition name embossed. Your AC controls, heated seats, no ventilated seats. That's going to be a zonk at $87,000. You do have your home power source down below. And what's nice is that when you slide the center console, you can actually slide it for the people behind you. So if you have your little cowgirls and cowboys in the mid row, you could slide it back so that they could reach this a little bit easier. Because God forbid, we wouldn't want them to have to stretch to reach the AC controls. That would be asking too much. But sitting here, seats are comfy. Woohoo! Recline. I feel like I'm ready for freaking takeoff. I feel like Neil Armstrong, when he went to the moon, man. I feel like I'm ready to go into outer space. Nice slide on the seats. To move the seat, it's real simple. I'm gonna have Steven kind of show you. He's backing away. We want him here. We're gonna push this. Watch out. Woo-hoo-hoo. Steven almost got hit with it. And then third row. This is what it's all about. Let me get the headrest out of my back. Plenty of room. Remember, I'm still 6 feet tall. Plenty of room. I could even, get a little bit of lean. And the leather is the same. They didn't go cheap on the third row. You got USB-Cs back here, cup holders, the whole 9 yards. But why don't we go ahead? Let's get in that cargo area. I want to take you for a spin very soon in this Expedition. All right, guys, time to get in that rear cargo area. Now, what you're going to do is there's a button right underneath the I in Expedition. You're going to hit that, and what you're going to witness is that new split gate. Now, this is not like Watergate. That was very controversial in American history. Split gate, I think a lot of people are happy with, because what's great is you can put your groceries back here and nothing's going to roll out. Nobody wants to go chasing their cans of Campbell's Chunky Soup. That's Steven's favorite soup, extra chunky he likes. He's not going to have to chase it down his driveway. Now, what you have the option to do is you hit the button and you have that nice electric dropping landing dock area. You have the Expedition name that's been embossed, just to remind everybody what you have here. And what Ford wants you to do is make this a party center. Now, I'm not talking about Party Central as in you go there and you get some balloons and decorations for a party. I'm talking about they want you to have like the ultimate tailgater, or if you're at a park and you're observing nature and you're observing the birds and the bees doing their thing, you could have a picnic in the back of your expedition. Let me show you how that's possible. Now, you do have your little button here for interior lighting in the cargo area, all LED. And then you have the switch gear to put your seats down, which is what's nice about that. You just touch, and it's a one-touch operation. 60-40 split. Those are going to go down. While those are going down, let me show you another thing. They have this little nook here. This is where you're going to be able to put your bottles of KC Masterpiece barbecue sauce, maybe some Bullseye's barbecue sauce, and I know Steven's favorite, which is Golden's honey mustard. On the passenger side, we got USB-Cs. You got a 12 volt. You have a home power source. And then this rear area, the way that you're going to have Party Central is that this rear area actually turns into a picnic table. So you could have this split level picnic table, have your chips, your dip. Steven loves French onion dip, maybe a big old bowl of French onion dip sauce, and also some Funyuns. Those two make him a very happy guy. I'll take some guacamole and some pico de gallo with some nice Mexican freshly made tortilla chips. But with that third row down, you can see how we're maximizing our space, and it's nice and flat. In the little food nooks back here, they do have the USB-Cs like I was telling you about. And if you're wondering about cargo size, this is what you have. We started with 22.9 cubic feet of space. What you're looking at now is 69.9 cubic feet of space. You fold down that mid row, it's 108.5 cubic feet of space. So you get kicked out off the ranch, you could come sleep. You don't have to go sleep with the pigs. You could sleep in here with a nice air mattress. How do I know? Steven actually stayed the night here at Walker Ford because he couldn't go home because they were doing some type of construction. He actually slept in this. So we know that it's doable. And then of course, to put this all back together, it's like putting Humpty Dumpty back together. 1, 2, 3. There you go. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go giddy up and go for a drive in this King Ranch. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Expedition King Ranch. I have it in sport mode. And right away, even though you may think it's looking weird having the screen set up in here, when you're behind the wheel, it feels fantastic because like I said, all this information becomes a head-up display. And then you have your easy access to your infotainment system right here in front of you. And then to change anything, it really is not complicated whatsoever. And there's lots of different options. So I could bring up my trip odometer, or I could bring up the weather. Very, very easy to navigate, especially once you get the hang of it. Those blind spot cameras work like a champ, and the steering wheel shape and position is super duper comfortable. But I think once you get the hang of operating that main screen, you'll see it's not that big of a deal. I do have it in sport mode. It gives you a little bit of a tachometer underneath the large speedometer. And then, like I pointed out earlier, you do have Blue Cruise Standard on this King Ranch, which is really nice. But the functionality of this interior is really, really outstanding. You have that power sliding center console, which is a really, really smart idea. And then, of course, all the new finishes and touches that are in this vehicle, which are great as well. Now, to say move the steering wheel, to tilt or telescope the steering wheel, you're just gonna hit that button area up in the upper left-hand corner here, and then now I could actually move the steering wheel up and down very easily. Move it in, move it out. You even do the pedals, like I said. You could adjust those outward to come closer to your feet. So, may sound complicated. I'm telling you right now, you'll get the hang of it once you once you get behind the wheel for a little while. But what's also great is that you have different apps, more apps than ever before. Some of them you have to be parked. So right now I can't bring up the games, but if I go into park, then it all opens up, and then I could bring up the games if I want to go do that. But very, very, like I said, very intuitive once you get the hang of what's going on the interior. All right, guys, pulling away from the light. Real easy to drive this vehicle, believe it or not. I have it in sport mode, and I have the 4x4 in automatic, and that will send power to the front and to the rear wheels as needed. But like I said, when you change lanes, having those corner cameras is just really, really nice. Heated seats, ventilated seats, feel really good. And I really love the leather that they're using in this vehicle. Let's go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. So you have 440 horsepower. So that means you have more horsepower and more torque than, say, the Yukon or the Tahoe. But man, driving this car, the suspension is done really well. You don't get a bunch of body roll, which is nice, but it feels good. You feel good behind the wheel. I mean, look at this. On throttle, gets the power to the ground on the wet asphalt. And it's crazy because the steering wheel, the way that they have it designed, it makes it very comfy to hold on to. And your hands and arms just feel in a very natural position. But going down the road, I mean, and then Blue Cruise, very easy. You just hit that button in the upper right-hand corner here on the left side of the steering wheel, and now you have your autonomous hands-free driving. Really, really just straightforward and easy to use. Just shut it off, you just hit it again, now it's off. Now I'm in control. You do get some piped in sound, but it's nothing obnoxious. And speaking of sound, the sound deadening, the thickness of the glass, you're not hearing road noise, you're not hearing wind noise. It just really feels comfortable inside this new Expedition, and you have so much room for everyone. But once you get used to the size of this SUV, it's actually quite manageable to drive in traffic, especially when you have such great camera technology to make it easier to drive around in. Very smooth, very comfortable. But yeah, they did a great job on these seats. I feel like you could really do a long drive and you're gonna feel as fresh as a daisy in this thing. But I hope that this has been a good overall review of what the King Ranch is bringing for 2025. Lots of changes. We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap this one up. Let's go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. I'll see you guys in a split second. All right, guys, another great day in so many ways here at Walker Ford. Definitely got to thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, and Tracy for getting us access to their very first all-new Expedition King Ranch. Let me know what you think. Is this one of those ponies you want to put in your stable to be able to haul all your cowboys and cowgirls around in? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Reds family. Got to give it up to the Flood man, Stephen Flood, working that camera like a champ. He has to admit that in his high school days, especially living in Pasco County, he enjoyed doing a lot of cow tipping growing up. So he's not very proud of it, but like he always says, it is what it is. So thank you, Stephen, for sharing stories from your past and your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.